Bob Twin said Yasser Qadi doesn't represent the whole Muslim world. Stop using him as reference.
It's
Okay?
it's just hilarious. Whenever any of their guys speak the truth, they say he doesn't represent us. Guys, there's something called the principle of embarrassment. We've talked about it repeatedly. And it's along the same lines as what we just said, right? The Quran admits over and over again that Muhammad couldn't perform miracles. Now, why would historians look at those claims and take them seriously? Well, it was clearly embarrassing that Muhammad couldn't perform miracles. Because you could tell, because they keep having to make excuses for why he couldn't perform miracles. So it was embarrassing to them. Allah keeps having to justify it. And so a historian would look at that and say, wow, that tells us something about Muhammad and something about the claims of his time. But later, you know, sources from a century, 2, 3 centuries later, the farther you get away from the time of Muhammad, the more miracles Muhammad somehow performed, right? So a historian looks at that and says, wait a minute, these guys are inventing stories left and right, all the way down, all the way, centuries later that contradict their earliest source. So clearly we can't trust these guys, what they say, because they're just saying positive things about him that help their case and contradicting the earlier, more embarrassing version of events. But it's the same thing with Muslim scholars in the world today. You've got Muslim scholars walking around telling Muslims, guys, there's only one Quran. It's been perfectly preserved right down to the letter. Perfectly preserved. There's only one Quran anywhere in the world. Only one Quran anywhere in history. We know why they would say that. It gives Muslims a kind of false confidence in the Quran. But what happens when someone like Yasser Qadi comes out and says, I can't talk about this in public. We can't talk about the truth in public. It will destroy your faith, Muslims. It will destroy you. You can't even hear about this stuff. It's secret. Shh, shh. You got to pay me money and come take my class if you even want to hear about this stuff. Yeah, it's so horrible. We can't stand up to the criticisms of Western scholars. The Western scholars will crush our Quran, and there's nothing we can do about it. We're like the emperor in the emperor's new clothes. We're walking around naked, thinking we've got this case. We have nothing. We have nothing. So why would a Muslim scholar be saying all of this completely, totally embarrassing stuff if it weren't true? Right? The only explanation, see, there's an explanation for Muslim scholars saying the Quran's been perfectly preserved. It's deceit in order to give Muslims a false confidence in the Quran. When Yasser Qadi is admitting all of this embarrassing stuff that will destroy the foundations of Islam, why would he be admitting that stuff unless it's just true, right? There's no reason, right? So that's the general principle. Just let me give you an example. If someone were in court and they said, sir, did you steal that watch from that store? And the guy said, no, I couldn't have been the one who stole that watch. I was down selling crack to kids over at the schoolyard. Well, he might actually beat the theft charge, because people are going to be like, whoa, he wouldn't have made up a story that's going to get him in more trouble in order to get himself out of that one, right? So you look at those kinds of claims, those embarrassing claims, and you take them more seriously. So notice the complete reversal. You as a Muslim, you say, oh, these scholars over here are telling me comforting things that make me feel good about my book. Those are the guys I can trust. These scholars over here, Shabir Ali and Yasser Qadi, they're telling me that there are holes in the narrative and that there are different Qurans. Oh, they don't represent us. They don't represent us. Whereas we're sitting there looking at this going, we know the guys who are telling you perfect preservation are lying. These guys over here are starting to tell you the truth, and you declare war on them as soon as they do.